blending in. Her head is kind of, blending in the background because the background is also kind of dark, and head is also. So if you would have framed maybe a little bit, kept the camera angle a little bit higher, then the head will be against the water background, not those buildings, so that it's going to stand out more. Right now it's kind of merging in between. So these are like the two things that I would improve on that. Lighting wise, definitely if you have maybe a different set of gear, you can probably do something more if you use a tripod and all. But composition wise, these are the two things that I would like to point out.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. And this is also yours?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so this is a nice picture. I mean, the background is good. There's a foreground also. It's like more of this is what we call an environmental shot, in which the subject is there, but also the focus is also on the environment.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So this is like a good example of an environmental shot, and the framing is also okay. I don't see any problems in terms of like composition rules. But what would be interesting to see is if this picture was also taken, although this is also working, but if the picture was taken from slightly lower angle, where you could see, so the picture is like this, right? It's kind of flat. So if you like, it's slightly like this, then you'll be able to see the background, but the background is going to be a little bit isolated from the subject. So it will be blurred, and that's also something I would like to see this picture. But this is good.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's the object. So this is the lighting is actually good, but on the left side, if you see this highlight, so this is kind of ruining it. So because this is, what happens is when anybody looks at the pictures, the eyes get directed towards the light, the highlights. So when I see the picture, the first thing that I see instead of the subject is the highlight. So this is highlight is kind of not doing the justice to the pictures. And also if you see this edge on the top, maybe I would get rid of it, because if this was not there and this highlight was not there, then the background and foreground is going to be very seamless. It won't be disturbing, and my eyes will only be drawn to the subject. And maybe you could also even crop it a little bit more. The negative space is a little bit more for this subject. Okay, great. And I'm going to the next one.
Got it.
Okay. This it's so in lighting term, we call this low-key lighting setup, which we'll go through today also, in which the background is not lit, or is underexposed, and the foreground is lit properly. And so this is like a very good example of a low-key picture, and this effect is used in like all kind of photographies. It's used in portraits, it's used in products, it's used in wildlife, everything. So and I like the foreground also, and the way you've put it on the coins, it's very creative. It looks nice. This picture is working for me.
Okay, thank you.
Good job. Okay, this is where was this taken?
This is not
near my
mine,
place, the lake. So this is mine actually.
Okay, that's yours. Okay. So this also again horizon. If you see, it's tilted, so this needs to be straightened first. And other than that, I think the picture is okay, but again, there's a lot of negative space, I would say. Because if you see the sky has the moon, but other than that, like top of it is, kind of very plain, right? There's nothing interesting going on above this point. So I would maybe crop it a little bit more so that subjects get like more footage, more area in the picture. Like if what were you thinking? What's your main subject in this? What do you like to highlight?
I would basically highlight the reflection of the moon falling on the water.
Okay, great. So yeah, so maybe if you
That's what I wanted to show.
got you. So if you crop it a little bit more, then if you have a zoom lens, if you have a slightly bigger zoom, more focal length, then the moon will look bigger and the reflection will also look bigger. So it will have more space. So what I say is like every picture, no matter what kind of picture it is, it needs to have like one main subject. I call it a hero of the picture. So it could be like in this case, if it's moon and the moonshine on the water, right? So you got to know like what's the hero of your image. Like in the last watch, it was the watch one. There was watch was the hero. Apple was the hero, right? So you always need to know, what's your hero in the picture, and you have to make sure that stands out. Everybody sees the picture and they know that this is the hero. Okay, in this one, the horizon is straighter. I would say it's slightly maybe tilted, but I think more or less straight. And it's good that you've included foreground also here. When you add foreground to the landscapes, like the trees on the top and also the grass in the beginning. So it gives like more of a three-dimensional kind of feel, right? So they're like layers. There's a foreground, there's a background, there's a middle ground. So this picture is pretty good in
Thank you.
That context. And I really like the trees also that you've taken the trees on the top. So it also kind of makes a frame also, draws your eyes towards these buildings and the water. Okay. This one, the sky is good. So now, like you've included, so half the image is sky, right? But it's working because it has some clouds, some colors. So if it was like really bland sky, then I would not put it. And the reflection of the sunlight in the water is also working. So this is kind of nice. And in this also, maybe I don't know what the setting was, but if you had some foreground also, it would become like even more interesting. Like if there was something, some rocks, uh, you know, uh, at the beginning of the picture, or some leaves floating on the in the lake, or something like that. Then it would become even more three-dimensional. It's nice. So this one again, horizon issue, so it's slightly tilted, and sky is nice, but I think it's still a little too much because sky is taking most of the composition, and it's nice maybe till here. I like the sky till here. After that, it's kind of really plain. Now this is the sorry. This is the kind of sky which I would like to highlight. So this is really good. Again, horizon as an issue, and also on the right side, if you see this thing coming on the edge, what is this on the right side?
Basically, it's the walking space, so they're fencing. It's a fencing for the walking space.
So I won't show this because unless I won't show this unless it makes sense. What it is, and it's leading somewhere. So I would probably maybe take a tiny step ahead and get rid of this, and just start my composition from the grass, and then water is looking nice. The reflection is good. Clouds are beautiful in this one. So this is good.
Thank you.
yeah, this is really good. Like I said, the foreground. Uh, if you see when you, especially when you take pictures with wide angle lenses also, so what happens is the foreground looks bigger, right? And like the leaves are looking very big, compared to the buildings are looking very tiny. So this is a very good effect. It kind of gives you sense of distance. That how far you're from the buildings, and the clouds
Yeah.
are also kind of getting slightly dramatic in this, which is looking nice. So this is, I think, so far out of all your landscape, this is my favorite so far. I think this is good.
Thank you.
The next 14 odd pictures backwards are mine, Abhishek.
Okay,
This is
cool.
probably the least important, but I am interested in fashion photography, so I figured I'd send a few shots of those as well. This is a picture of a picture, probably of a picture.
Okay, sure. So, so this is like a sketch, like or picture of a sketch, or a picture of a real picture.
I think it was a catwalk.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So I think in this, I mean, the composition, this can be interesting, but if I see like real people in this, with the same composition, maybe, then it can be slightly interesting.
So you don't hate the shot per se, because I thought it had just a touch of merit, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, because no, what I'm saying is that the picture could be interesting if if it was like, because it looks like a sketch, right? So this is a real picture.
No, this is a real picture. So you're saying
Oh,
there should
okay.
have been people in it
I think
as well.
it's because of the lighting of your camera's display. It looks like okay. Yeah. So this is an interesting picture because if it's it makes sense if it's highlighting on the dress and the jewelry of the model, and not faces. We do this kind of approach in a lot of even in weddings also, where only the jewelry is shown, or some details are shown, and the focus is not on the face. So in that sense it can be very interesting, but the clarity wise, I'm not able to actually
Discern,
make out,
definitely. Yeah.
because it's from the display screen. This one, I'm not sure. I mean, if it's like a documentary shot, it could be like, like you're just documenting something that, this was the wardrobe, and I don't know what's the story behind this one. So if you can
So
tell
this
me.
is, I think, from Vogue. This is from the Vogue documentary, the September issue, I think. So
Okay.
I was just picking up on how the racks were placed. So the idea was to highlight the beauty of the fashion. So much like how you would capture a landscape, the horizon here would be considered tilted as well. That's at least my perspective.
Right.
So I wouldn't call it an abstract shot per se, but I was just trying to make fashion photography a little interesting.
Okay, got you. So I think in that case, probably if you see the left side, there is like a big black bar.
Right.
I'll kind of I'll get rid of this, and also on the right side, it kind of it breaks the flow. Like all the clothes are hanging in a row. Here the tilt works. It looks uh, kind of interesting, but it kind of breaks the flow of the clothes. I'll frame it the way that it it ends where the rack is ending, or at least one of the dress is not being cut there. So
Got
there'll
it.
be
Yeah,
symmetry.
definitely.
Like on this side, there is gap between the dress, so there'll be like more symmetry here. So just the symmetry, you'll have to work on.
Noted.
Okay.
That's like a very candid moment I captured of my dad.
Okay. It's nice. The problem here is the lighting. So we'll go through the lighting today, because the lighting is really flat here, and it's because I think it's front lighting. Was there a flash used here?
I use flash here, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll talk about this. We'll go through this. How to improve the lighting in portraits, and then it will make more sense. What I'm talking about. So right now the light is very flat. Uh, uh, that's the only issue I see in the.
Noted. We can probably skip this. It's a picture of a painting I made.
Okay.
This is just to give you an idea of, once again, how I shoot color.
Okay, cool. This is on the ramp.
What do you think about this one? Yeah.
This is nice. Let's see.
Is it too much of a media shot and not enough fashion?
It's definitely a media shot because you can see, people behind, unless you would, frame it in a way, in a manner that, the background is, kind of more seamless.
Got it.
You see what I mean? This is very interesting. So what is this?
This one particular song I was watching on TV. So I took a picture of a shot that I thought was very well framed.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It's a good frame. It's a very interesting perspective. This is nice. So these kind of detailed shots are also very important when you do, like, photo journalism, or even if you do like fashion, you do weddings. So like if you do like a campaign for jewelry, sometimes you got to know like how to focus on particular elements as well. But only thing is that the jewelry that you're focusing on, from the right side, right corner, it's getting cut. Again, I'll include it.
Definitely. There are too many details that are a bit shabby in this picture, but I figured the perspective was interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, this is nice. Again, I'll probably work on the background a little bit. Background has too much going on. So maybe, if it's like all green, or, so basically what happens is when you take any pictures, there are a lot of times you can control the colors. The color palette is in your hand, what you want to do with the colors. But there are a lot of times when you don't have, that they're in control. Then you cannot do much about it. Like, for example, doing any macro shots or product photography, a lot of times you can control the color by just moving your camera a little bit here. If there is, let's say I'm taking a picture of a butterfly, or for example, this flower. So if I move my angle slightly here, so I can get rid of maybe this section, uh, and get like more green on the side, or seamless. Again, this we're going to cover this in composition rules also. So it will make more sense after that.
That's my cousin.
So this is better lighting than the last one that you showed. Although this is also front lighting, but it's working a little slightly better because of the dark background also. Kind of low key, like we discussed in that watch picture also.
Do you like the way the portrait per se was shot, just his face and barring the background?
Yeah,
Do you think it has personality?
the framing is good, and lighting can be improved, but it's better than the last shot. And the eye contact is working better than this one, I would say. This one is definitely, the eye contact is working better with the camera here. But that also depends on your subject also, model also, how that works. This one is really good. This is like very candid, and there's a feel to this picture, if you know what I mean. So there's like more feel to this picture. So it's very natural, and this can be a high key shot. So like there's a low key shot in which the backgrounds are very dark. There are high key shots in which the backgrounds are like more lit. So maybe in editing uh, you can process it as like more high key image in which the background will go like more whitish, and uh, this image will even stand out more. But
That's really cool.
out of all the portraits, this is working the best for me so far. Okay, this is a very nice location, and all the elements of the composition.
What isn't working for you at all in this?
In this, what's not working for me is the back of the elephant being cut. If the elephant's
Oh,
elephant's bum was also out in the frame, then it would make more sense, because right now it's kind of being cut, so it looks like it's slightly cropped from the right side. I mean at the bottom right now, but if I tilt it, but other than that, it's a very interesting composition. Then the lighting is good, and the shadows are good, and everything in the picture is good otherwise.
so if the full elephant would have been there, you think it would have been at least a semi decent shot of an elephant? You think it would have worked as a landscape shot at all, or a
It's,
portrait of the elephant?
yeah, it's like more like yeah, I mean it's more like, again, this would go like more in like travel photography, because there's like people
Got it.
sitting
So
taking
this
by.
particular shot would have potential in travel photography.
Absolutely.
Just to understand how to categorize things.
Absolutely, yeah. This is also
pretty
nice. This
basic
is good.
stuff. Got it. Yeah.
Okay, the lighting is really good here. I think this is early morning or
This is early morning, like 6
early
a.m.
morning. Yeah. So the lighting is really good. So normally, uh, this is the lighting that I normally shoot my landscapes and all, and try to shoot portraits also, like early morning of the evening, which is also called golden hour in photography term. So we'll go through that also. And so the lighting is good, and the moment is also looking good. Like everybody's, I think, taking selfies on sitting on elephant. This diagonal shadow of elephant, the long shadow, is looking really good. And yeah, this is a good composition.
Thank you, Abhishek. Means a lot.
Sure. This is again, golden hour, like I say. So sun is rising, right? Or setting.
Sun, I believe, was setting at this point.
Sun is setting, okay. And again, this has a foreground which is very well lit with the golden light, and the horizon is also looking good. It's center, and it's very balanced. The trees are looking nice. So this is also a very good picture.
Thank you. There's two more. You missed one of a bird, and there's one more landscape. Do you think you can critique those as well?
Okay,
They're towards the right. Of a fish, sorry.
Okay. I don't see this.
Other way.
Oh, okay. This is in an aquarium.
Yeah, this was a picture of a fish inside an aquarium.
Okay. So it's nice, but it kind of looks a little flat, I think, because of the light. But otherwise,
Do you think I captured the eye sharply?
honestly, I'm not able to make out, because this picture is picture of picture, right? So I cannot see it like very clear. So if you want, you can send the
actual picture
to me, then I can comment on that.
Okay, will do.
Which is the other picture you said you want to see?
The one towards the left. Yeah, that's the one.
This one. Okay. This is also good. Yeah, I think this is the same, but this is around sunset, right? And this is like maybe
midday.
Yeah, this is also nice. Again, this also has what I was talking about. The foreground and the background. The trees are looking very interesting in the background, and the blue sky is working here because it's not taking too much space. The trees mostly, which is the subject, and it's good. Although this on the right side, is this your shadow?
I think so, and I think it's a huge disruption. So this is
Yeah,
not the type of stuff you'd expect in a photograph, right? You'd want to take away the little disruptive details.
Exactly. So this is something I'll avoid. But other than that, this picture is cool.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
So Abhishek, just a quick Got it. So did you get a chance to look at my IG profile? Actually, I have already uploaded a couple of wildlife photographs on the IG. If you could review that.
No, I haven't checked it out. But if you want to look at any specific pictures, maybe we can
Yeah,
do
means
that.
like couple of means like if you can visit the IG profile, I have already shared the link.
Sure, sure. So let's start with the session, and maybe
Okay.
towards the end, when we do the questions, and that time you can let me know which picture you want me to look, and we can talk.
Okay, sure. Okay.
Sounds good.
Good. Yeah, sure.
All right, cool. So today it's going to be all about composition and lighting. Let me just start a minute. Okay, so what is composition? So composition is all the components of your image. So what composes your image. It's your subject, your foreground, your background, any other interesting elements. So everything put together is a composition. So whatever is part of the picture. So there are a few basic rules that everybody needs to know, and it's up to them, you want to follow them or not. You can always break the rules here and there also, but those rules are kind of, if you start following those rules, they'll start making sense to you. That sometimes you'll think that why, like there is a rule called rule of thirds. So sometimes you think that why do I need to follow this rule? Why did it doesn't make sense? But once you start using it, then you know that it really makes sense now. So we just go through the first rule, which is called rule of thirds. So by the definition of rule of thirds, so you just divide the picture in 3 sections horizontally and 3 vertically, right? So if you see there are like 9 squares here. So your subject should be placed on one of the intersections, where these lines are crossing. Like if you see this model's eye is on one of the intersection. It could be on this left or at the bottom also. So one of these 4 intersections. So why? Because that's how naturally humans' eye are, in that direction your eyes are going to be drawn. So if you see it, look at any picture, so naturally your eyes get drawn to that side. So this is like one of the rules which is followed. If you notice any movies also, like a lot of movies you'll watch, you'll see always the subject, not always, but most of the time the subject is placed slightly towards the right or slightly towards the left. There are some shots in which it's in the center also, but sometimes keeping the subject in the center becomes very boring, right? Like if you see like news channels and all, they used to have like someone in the center, like a journalist talking right in the center. So it's like more for like documentary purposes. So, but to make it more interesting and giving a little bit negative space also, the rule of third is followed. So I'll give you like some examples, like in this also, if you see, so model is on the left side, there's a lot of space on the right. It kind of also gives a sense of space also, in which direction she's looking, and shows that space also where she's looking. So this is like one of the example of rule of thirds. Again, this also rule of thirds, owl is looking in that direction and there is negative space on that side. Even in the portrait images or vertical images also, rule of third applies the same way. So if you see the model's faces are on the left side of the top intersection. So what you need to do is, so a lot of cameras also have this grid inbuilt. So either you can turn it on, or even better if you just have this mental image, in your head, while taking a picture, you have this mental grid in your head, and you just frame the picture accordingly. So, and also start looking at images. I say like photography is, a skill that you learn by seeing, right? So you see more pictures, you learn more. When you watch any movies also, just keep an eye on the composition. Just notice that the rule of third is being applied or not. So then it will make more sense and, you'll relate more to it. So next time, whenever you watch any movie, just especially like Hollywood movies, like they're like really good cinematographers. They use negative space. They show something very interesting, or it's like makes more sense. That is like where they're looking, or if they're walking in a direction, then again there is negative space there. So this is rule of thirds, but there's another composition in which you don't follow rule of thirds, which is you just center your subject. So this is like a very traditional way of taking pictures, but this also works in many ways. It kind of it has less negative space and kind of like more interactive, I would say. That one could be like more natural, and this could be like more interactive, especially in portraits. But a lot of centered images are taken in. They, I won't say that they're the bad composition wise. They also, kind of draw a lot of attention. But they've just, because, since like all the official images, if you say like your passport images or any pictures of the documents and all, they're always taken like this. So seeing those pictures, we started finding them boring because, we're so used to seeing those pictures. And like I said, news channels, they used to just straight sit like this and, talk on the news. So that's why, it has become boring, but otherwise keeping your subject in the center. But you have to know when it works and when it doesn't. So those are the things you have to work.
Abhishek, actually your voice is breaking. Am I the one facing this issue?
No, Anand, me as well.
Oh, okay. Still breaking or better?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Maybe, I don't know, maybe some latency in my network. Okay. So we spoke about rule of thirds. We spoke about how to center your frame, keep your subject in the middle. And there's another interesting way to see in compositions. Most of the things are about how to draw viewer's eye to your main subject. So framing is also another technique. So in this, if you see this couple on the left is standing between these pillars, and these pillars are kind of building a frame, and it's kind of drawing the attention towards the couple. And on the right side also there is like this frame on the wall, kind of making a frame for. So you can find these kind of frames in natural settings, even when we do nature, like your picture I was saying, there's kind of making those trees on the top, and the foreground is kind of making a frame, and your attention goes towards the image or the main subject. So this is also another example of framing in which I've taken, both the pictures are taken from a window. There's this and so this kind of makes the images slightly more interesting. Another thing that you can do is repetition. So repetition also makes images interesting. Like if you see there's a line of guitars here. So like similar to Tamanna's your pictures where you were showing those the wardrobe, right? You're showing the clothing. So that could also become like a repetition kind of a shot.
That's very cool.
Taken on a different angle. You can use it in portraits also, like these pillars are again, they're kind of repeating. So it makes it more interesting. Another thing is symmetry, like in landscapes, especially in architectures, symmetry is very important. You know, the lines have to be symmetrical. Like for example, this image, if you see the symmetry, the horizon is straight, and the symmetry of both the bridge going towards that cottage is very accurate. So and also leading lines. So which is also, I'll just use the same example. So leading lines is anything you want, like your subject, like let's say it's a tree or a mountain, and any lines leading to it. It could be a path, it could be a railway track, it could be a bridge. It kind of makes you look at the image starting from the foreground. So in a split second, what you do is you just roll your eyes from the foreground till where it's actually leading. It's become very interesting in your head, kind of walking the path itself.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, Anand, we've lost Abhishek though, I feel like.
Yeah, I think we've lost Abhishek a little. Just give him a couple of, let's give a couple of minutes. He should be able to restore. Hi, Abhishek. Are you back? You're on mute. Yeah.
Sorry, I got dropped out, I think. Okay, did we talk about this one already?
Not yet.
Okay, so we're talking about negative space. So negative space is like if you see the black background here, so which is the negative space. So like normally in portraits or even wildlife also, we give some room to the main subject. It doesn't have to be like totally cropped in or totally zoomed in. Like in this shot also, there is all the green background is the negative space. It kind of balances the picture. It's not like uh, taking too much. The subject is not taking the entire space. Color. Okay, so color also is something, like I was saying, there are a lot of situations in which you can control the color, and where you can control the color, you should definitely control the color. Like if you're doing fashion photography or in a studio setting, you can use whatever backdrop you want. You can do whatever color of light you want to use. And in nature photography also, there are like a lot of times you can still do that. So like for example, in this image, uh, there was, so what I've used like some kind of diffused flashlight. So this is a jewel bug, and this, like really beautiful looking bug. So, but it was when I was taking it against the green backdrop, which it was naturally sitting on. It was kind of the green was kind of blending in, and it wasn't like looking really good. It was kind of merging. So what I did was I just tilted the grass strand on this bug was sitting, and like this, and pointed towards the sky. And now the sky is kind of looking very blue, and it's standing out. So you can make like these small adjustments when you're doing nature photography also, and definitely when you're doing product, you can play with a lot of colors. So you need to have a little bit understanding of your color palette. What color works with other, how do the colors complement, because the warm colors, the cold colors, which color goes with what, and that kind of know-how and understanding also goes a long way, when you do photography. So differential focus, this technique is also used a lot in events and weddings and in wildlife also. When you should other one, like if the bride is in focus and the groom tells the story, it's not missing the point and kind of giving more footage, or I would say like more attention to the bride.
Abhishek, we are losing you actually. Your voice is cracking actually.
Oh, okay. Let me check my. Hi, is it still bad? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can
Can
hear
hear
you.
you.
Okay. So was talking about differential focus. So in which so now if you see the bride is in focus, so there's like more attention on the bride, whoever views this image, and the groom is still there, is out of focus, and he gets like slightly less attention. That's normally what all the brides also expect in a wedding photography, more attention on the bride. So that's what happens.
Everyone is gone, right?
You can have this. So basically, with diagonal lines, it kind of can make it like more dramatic, and if you see like a lot of paintings, also this approach is used a lot. Diagonal lines. It could be anything. It could be like a flowing dress of a model. You can make a diagonal line with that. It could be like a window in which uh, there's like a diagonal light, or it could be like diagonal shadows. So you can always use shapes. You always look for shapes. Like this is making two triangles, right? Two right triangles. Sometimes you can make circles, with just the elements that you have in your composition. So always look for shapes, and that will always make pictures more interesting. It could be lines, it could be squares, anything like that. Okay, this is one of uh, the key element for every composition: background. So a background can make or break a picture. So a lot of time what happens is all the photographers, they focus so much on the foreground, on the subject. No, I won't say foreground, on the subject. They just miss what's in the background, but it's really important. So you have to pick your backgrounds carefully. Make sure that anything in the background is, kind of not distracting, and it should be interesting. The colors should be, going with the image. Like on the left side, so I've used these palms for the background. It kind of, gives a sense of, where the bride is. She's in an outdoor setting. So it's looking nice. You see this bird image. So this background is so clean, right? So it's very seamless and very simple. Most of the times, like simple backgrounds uh, work. Sometimes, like if you see the other picture with the graffiti wall, so it's like kind of a fun image. So it's kind of going with the vibe. The vibe is going with the background and the image. Everything is going together well. So I cannot emphasize more on this, but the backgrounds, like repeating again, can make or break your pictures, and everybody tends to ignore the background because you're focusing on, if you're taking a bird's picture, your focus is on just getting the bird. in the frame right, getting it sharp. You always miss on the background. But sometimes you just move your composition slightly, like you move slightly towards the left, slightly towards the right. You can change the background because, it keeps changing in your composition. And when you're working with models, you can always scout the places. Even if you're working outdoors, you can scout the places, go there before, look for good backgrounds where you can shoot, and take them then there and do the shoot there. Are you guys still there?
Yes,
Yeah,
Abhishek.
Okay, so I thought I lost you. Okay. So this is what we were talking about, the horizons, right? Especially in the landscapes. This is something everybody needs to keep in mind. So this red line which I have marked is the horizon line. So where the earth meets the sky mostly, that's can be horizon. In architecture, it could be where the land meets the wall, or those kind of things. So you have to make sure, firstly, the horizon is always straight. So if it's tilted, it doesn't make sense, in terms of landscapes and architecture. Even when you're doing portraits also, so you have to make sure if there's a wall in the background and there's a horizon line, then where the floor meets the wall, that should not be tilted also. It looks very unnatural otherwise. Unless, there is like some special effect that you're trying to create, making the picture more dramatic or showing some, something else. One is the center, like this one. The horizon line is in the center. So the center line is working here because the sky is also interesting here, and the water is also equally interesting. So that's why I've used a center horizon line here. Here, if you see, the horizon line is at the bottom, because if I had kept the center, maybe it would be like too much grass. It would get boring. So normally, typically, in landscapes, you keep either center. Same, if go back to the rule of thirds grid. In your landscapes. And then there's another center also. One is up here, but it's not necessary that these are the only way you can do that. When you place your horizon, you can just have like a little bit, just this much sky also, like a small line also. So in this, like I've given like more footage to the or I've shown the rocks more, because they are like more interesting than the sky. Sky is good, but above these clouds it was very bland. It was like plain blue. So I've kept sky less, and foreground is more. So it's taking, if you see, the horizon is up, versus this one in which the horizon is below, because more interesting stuff is on the top, not in the foreground, the tree and the sun. So this is like more interesting. Here I have, kind of kept it in center, because I thought the clouds are also very interesting. There's like a lot of color and drama going on. And equally, the water is also very interesting. So this has been taken on a very slow shutter speed on a tripod, like we were discussing. So what slow shutter speed does is, because it's recording for a few seconds, so the water is moving a little bit, but it gives like a very milky effect. So the water is looking like very dreamy. Even the clouds are also moving, while just in one picture. and because of long exposure, it's looking more smooth and more dreamy.
So Abhishek, I have one question here on this picture. So you
Uh-huh.
haven't done any editing. This is just taken from your camera.
Yeah, so
Or have-
there's only the only editing that's been done on this is enhancing the contrast or brightness and those kind of things. So basic things. So that's because so normally we click all the pictures in raw format. So there are like two formats you can typically take pictures. One is raw and one is JPEG. So raw is totally unprocessed image. So your camera creates very bland image so that you can adjust the colors according to your taste. Whereas JPEG or JPG file, the camera is going to, on its own, it's going to create the colors and the contrast, everything on its own. So the way I click all the pictures are very flat and I process them. So on, Photoshop or mostly camera raw also.
I see. And so can you select like a raw or JPG in your camera on your digital?
Yes. So there is an option which you can click both also. So there's an option which you can say I want raw as well as JPEG, and or you can also select either of those. So raw images are they take a lot of space because it has like a lot of metadata information. So you can I would recommend you start, if you're not shooting in raw, you start shooting in raw. That's because you can do like a lot of adjustments. So sometimes what happens is there's a lot of highlights, unwanted highlights. So you can reduce the highlights. You can lift the shadows, like the dark areas, you can lift them. And you can reduce the noise. Sometimes your image is very grainy because of high ISO or low light situations. You can make pictures slightly sharper also. So all those things, you have like more control on the processing if you shoot everything in raw. But then, like editing is also, like another, like a full length course, which is as important as photography these days, because now these days everything is digital, and everything is shot in raw, so you can do a lot in editing. I won't say you can make like a bad picture look good, but you can make a good picture look better with editing.
How do you edit? Like, how do you edit the pictures? Through your camera
So
or?
no, I edit using Photoshop, so or Lightroom. So normally what my workflow is, when I take a picture, I just download it on my computer. I select the pictures, and the pictures that I select, I do the color correction, which is like basic contrast or vibrance or any brightness, exposure setting, those kind of things. And most of the pictures, 80% of the pictures, I just leave it there. So which is like, I would say, like the landscapes and nature, mostly those kind of pictures. But when it comes to commercial, like fashion photography, then there's another level of editing, which is required. Sometimes, you have to do skin retouching also. Sometimes you even have to enhance the makeup a little bit. So those kind of things also come into the picture. Sometimes you just have to, get rid of the blemishes on the face of the model. And even in the product also, sometimes you have to enhance few things. So in commercial world, it's expected that you have to do, like, if you see all the Vogue cover magazines, those models are, not always that as beautiful as they're seen on the Vogue cover. So there's a lot of editing done on those. And whereas the like nature photography, I just try and keep it like more natural. So the way it was shot, yeah, but like the basic adjustment, every picture needs to be touched. If you shoot in raw, you cannot just post the raw picture because it's going to be very flat. Make sense? Okay. Okay, so vantage point is from your perspective, from where you shoot. So you can make it very interesting. Especially if you shoot a picture from, where normally humans won't see, that image or, that scene like. So like this has been taken from the top, right? So it becomes more interesting because normally if you go to a park and even if you see like this couple laying down there, you won't see it like this, unless you climb on a tree or something like that. So you have to look for interesting perspectives, something unique, could be a low angle shot, in which like I'm sitting below, like I'm very close to the ground. So that's why the flowers are looking really big, and it's kind of making an interesting composition. So there was rule of thirds, there is rule of space. So what rule of space is also similar to that, but it kind of tells where the negative space should be. So if the negative space was behind the bird, then it won't make sense, because then the bird has nowhere to go. Right now, in front of bird there is space, so the bird is flying in that direction. It shows. So it's the same thing is with, if you do like portraits also, and if someone is looking in one direction. So like, for example, if I go back to one of these images, or let's say this bird also, so this bird is looking in this direction, right? So that's why the space is here. So if the space was on the back of the bird, it won't make much sense.
Yeah.
Like, I just quickly go to, I'm just going to jump to another example from yesterday's session, which I said I'll go back to these again. So this was, like I was showing, this was my first shoot. So in this, the rule of space is not being followed, because I was just learning. I had no idea what's rule of space. And so in this, the model is looking in the direction where the frame is ending, right? She's not looking in the direction, very natural. It can work in some scenarios, if you trying something, but normally this is not like the rule of space. The model needs some space, just not just the subject, but there is also another rule called filling the frame. So
I
this
think Abhishek,
also
I'm
works
sorry
in.
to interrupt you. We did lose your what you were telling in the previous picture. Did we lose? Everyone lose, or no? Not this. The model. You were saying something about the model.
Okay, sure. So I was just jumping back to the presentation that we went through yesterday. And so like in this image, this was the first shoot that I did, I was telling yesterday. So I didn't follow rule of space. So the model is supposed to look in the other direction where there is more space, but she's looking where the frame is ending. So, so here the rule is not being followed.
Okay. Can you show the picture? Actually, we don't see the picture. Okay.
So yeah, so what I would do is have more space towards where she's looking, not behind the
On the
back
back
of her
side.
bed. Yeah. Because the bird is flying in this direction and there is space in the same direction. So the negative space should always be where the vision is or where the direction is. If you're doing sports photography, if someone is running or someone is on a bike, so you'll show the negative space in front of the bike, not behind, the path which he's going to cover, not which has already been covered. So negative space in which you give like more space other than the model or your subject. And then there's filling the frame, in which you go really tight on your subject. So in a lot of composition, this also works. It can work in portraits also, in which your subject is taking most of the frame. Environment shots. So these shots are, in which you give your viewers the sense of the place, the environment.
Abhishek, you can turn off your video, I guess. It's like we are losing you every couple of minutes. Hello?
Is it better?
No, actually you can turn off your video actually. So we are losing you every minute.
Okay. Prerna, do
Maybe
you want to turn off the video, or you want to, it's important that you want to record this? Is it because of that?
I don't believe so, Abhishek. I think what Anand is saying is just we won't be able to see you, but we will still be able to see the presentation and hear you.
Oh, like that. Okay.
Then we might not be able,
Okay.
then we might not lose
Makes
you.
sense.
That's the only thing.
Okay.
We
Let's try
lost
that.
you at environmental shots, give viewers a sense of space, and then like that was that.
Okay. So we'll just try that. Okay, so we were talking about environment shots. So here I was saying that, this is environment shots are in which you want to give the viewers the sense of where the picture is being taken, where the subjects are, and there's an equal importance to the location as well as the model. So if you see the shot on the left, there's, if you see, the most of the space has been taken by the environment, and this is a very slight, small space taken by the model. Similarly, in the right also, you see the couple walking in the trees, so you know where the story is being captured. This has also kind of become very popular in weddings these days, in which you see like the couple or is like very tiny, and you show the monument behind, or the church behind if the wedding is being taken in the church. So with like wide lenses, you're able to do these kind of pictures. So in this, if you see the image on the left with the model, so this has been shot with a wide angle lens. So I'm not that far from the model. Whereas on the right side, this is with a telephoto lens. In this, I'm standing like really far. That's why if you see, the background is blurred. And although this is again an environment shot. So you can take environment shot with telephoto also. Although you'd need a lot of working space for that. And again, there's a diagonal line in the image on the left. If you see, the tree is kind of creating a diagonal line. So which is again, making the composition more interesting. Make sense so far? So good?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you can also make your images more interesting by capturing motion. It could be anything. Normally sports and wildlife, motion is very important. But in other kind of photography also, if you're doing fashion also, it could be like, normally we use a fan also at times for, so that the hair, kind of flies, or maybe a spinning shot in which the dress, there's a flowy dress, which kind of, you can show the motion with. And there another thing is details. So sometimes you have to focus on the details. So this is a macro shot of wedding rings. And again, you do this in product photography, you do in wedding, you do in photojournalism. These kind of images also tell a story, and capturing those details are very important. Another thing is interaction. So when you take a picture, you can tell a story by showing the interaction, between two subjects. If you have like more than one subject, if you're doing like a group picture, so there's some interaction between them, not like just plain standing looking at the camera. Like in this, these are the moths, they're mating, and there's an interaction, just it's telling a story. If you see this picture, so this is there's an interaction between the kids. This is also an example of I was telling about like partial focus, in which like one subject is in focus and one is out of focus. So it's kind of giving that effect also. So these are the rules that we discussed, and but after learning all the rules, you should also break the rules every now and then. You can always experiment. You don't have to, you should know all the rules, but you should know when you break the rules, you should know why you're breaking the rules. Like, for example, I was talking about straight horizon, but at times you'll see a lot of pictures in which you tilt the camera intentionally to give a certain effect. So, but you should know why you're tilting it, not just doing it because breaking rules is cool, but you should know why you're breaking the rules.
Can hear. Keep the screen on. I cannot see. Oh, I'm going to pray to okay.
Okay, so do you have any questions in composition so far, or anything you want me to revisit that we discussed?
Okay, Abhishek, can you go back to that wide angle shot once again?
This one?
Yes. So could you please tell me the camera settings in these photos, in the left hand side and right hand side?
Yeah, so the one on the left side, first I'll tell you about the lens. This has been shot on a 35 mm lens, which is quite wide.
Okay.
And so I'm hardly maybe 4 or 5 feet away from the model, because the lens is so wide. So that's why, I'm getting like so much of information. And the settings, so this was done in the evening, so I don't have the exact setting, but normally in the wide, I go with like really low ISO number, because if your lens is really wide, you can play with the slower shutter speeds. So normally the rule is if you want to make the picture stable, so if you're shooting on, let's say 50 mm lens, so you can easily handheld 1/50 shutter speed. And the aperture is 2.8 in this, which is, this was a prime lens and used 2.8 in this, but still there is a lot of depth in this image because it's a very wide lens. Otherwise 2.8 will give like a shallow depth of field. as compared to the picture on the right. So this has been taken with an 85 mm, which is a, a telephoto lens. And the aperture here is 1.8. I'm not sure about the shutter speed here, but so now if you see there's a lot of difference in the details or depth of field here, because this is 85 mm lens, so that makes the entire difference on the image on the right. That's why it's like more blurry in the background.
Okay. So in the right side of the image, is there any reason you have kept that means like the subject keeping in the right bottom of the screen, and you're showing the environment more instead of focusing into the subject?
Yeah, so basically it was there are 2-3 things that was working for me in this composition. One is I wanted to show the scale of the image, like how big the trees are, and so I wanted to show the scale of the image, that if I had, let's say, uh, have had half the picture of what I've shown here, it would be it won't tell the story that I'm trying to show, that the trees are so tall and they're walking in this forest. This is where they're walking. And kept on the right side is just the framing, again, like rule of thirds. It's getting closer to rule of thirds, but I cannot show like the accurate rule of thirds because I want to emphasize on the trees more here. And then again, like I was talking about shapes. So the shapes are also working here because there are lines and there's a repetition of lines. So that's also, kind of making this more interesting.
How about means like keeping the subject in the center of the screen at the bottom? Uh, does that make sense if I would click?
Yeah. So yeah, keeping in the center can also definitely work. Uh, Especially if there is like something in the center, like if there is a path or anything in which they're walking, then it would be even better. And keeping on the side is kind of mostly because of rule of thirds, and also like giving like more footage to the trees here and showing. But yeah, I mean there could be variety of shots, like center shot can also work here. But if you see, there's a one big tree in the foreground on the left side. So if I keep it in the center, maybe I'll keep foreground on both the sides, not just one side, otherwise it will not look very symmetrical. So maybe they both are in between two trees, but right now the tree is just on the left side, the one which is in focus, and rest are behind the couple or ahead of the couple, I would say. There's just one tree behind that.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Sure. Anything else? Any other questions from the previous slides? Anybody? Okay, if no, then we can just move to the lighting. Okay, so we just go through the basics of lighting. So lighting is like essential part of photography. So it's like a very vast subject. It takes like a lot of time to learn, get the light right for your images. So we'll just do a little bit high level and also a little bit basic light setup. Also, we'll talk about that. So first we talk about the quality of light. So you need to understand the quality of light. Normally, we classify into hard light and soft light. So how is it different? If you see these two images, in the hard light, if you see the shadows are really harsh, you see the shadow of the nose, it has very sharp definition to it, right? And if you see on the right, which is soft light, you see the shadows are, kind of blending with the highlights. So if you see the dark areas, they blend with the light areas, very smoothly. It's like more smooth. So soft light is, definitely, it looks better. Hard light looks like more dramatic, and maybe in some movies, or like thriller movies, some horror movies, you'll see a lot of hard light being used. Or even if images also, if you want your images to be very dramatic, want to show more drama, and if you want to show that kind of mood in your images, you can use hard light. But like most of the images in which like for fashion and weddings, where soft light is used mostly, that's where soft boxes and umbrellas come into the picture. So which softens the light more, and this is the preferred light used in those fields. Any questions? You can make out the difference between both the lights, right? The soft and hard.
So Abhishek,
Yeah,
just a
Abhishek.
question. Yeah, go ahead, Tarun.
Thanks, Anand. How do we demonstrate this type of effect, the hard light and the soft light effect? How do we actually implement it?
Okay, so to get a soft light, you need you need diffusers. So if you get if you want to get the soft light like in the picture on the right, you'll have to use diffusers. It could be umbrellas, soft boxes, and beauty dish like we were talking about yesterday. So if you use a direct flashlight, it's going to be really hard light, and it's going to give you
Noted.
like very sharp shadows.
And if you use a combination of a flash and a diffuser, is there a specific type of image that we can expect to get?
Yeah, so if you see the image on the right, this is used with a soft box on a flash, with a strobe flash.
And that's
And
recommended for fashion photography, a soft light?
absolutely, yeah. So in fashion, if you see all the portraits, just look at any pictures, you won't see these hard lights unless there is specific mood that you want to portray. Like you want to show maybe drama, some sadness or anger. That's like mostly these harsh lights are related to that. Like if you see in the horror films, so hard light is used, and the source is from the bottom, so the shadows will always go towards up. Whereas in this image, you'll see there's just one light being used, which is on one side of the model. The only difference is one is the direct flash, and one is with a softbox on the flash. So it's making more softer.
Thank you.
Sure.
Anand, you were saying?
Yeah, Abhishek. Question.
Yes.
So in this particular image only, so you have used only one light, right? One light source from the right side of the subject. Sorry, left side of the subject, right? Hello, Abhishek. We lost you again.
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
Yeah, so in this particular image, you have used a single light on the left side of the subject, right?
Yes.
So what if I have two light sources from the left and right? So is that will be means like proper composition for the image, or this is the perfect image with a single light source?
No. So this, I won't say this is perfect or that will be perfect. So it's
Okay.
totally based on, the desired result you want. But your question will be answered shortly, because we'll be going through like 2 light setup and 3 light setup also. So towards the end of this, so then it will make more sense. Yeah.
Another thing, Abhishek, exactly to what Anand said, is that do you think you can show us an industry standard so we know what's the minimum benchmark we're looking for when we create something?
Sure, absolutely. I'll cover that in the last slide. Sure. Okay. Yeah, so I'll cover that in the last slide. What kind of lighting is used and, which kind of photography as well.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So that this was quality of light, softness and hardness of light. And then there's a color of light in which you can use, some kind of color modifiers also. You can use it with flash also. And it's basically those translucent color, you get those plastic things. And there's a mag mod also, which, provides like a lot of colored filters also. Then there's a direction of light. So this chart is like really good in terms of understanding the direction of light. So if you see in this, the light has been used at different angles. If you see 0 degree, and this is on 0 degree, the light is going to go straight at the model's face. So if you see, so there are 3 rows in this. So the first one is the flash is mounted slightly on a height, right? And we're just looking at the first vertical line, 0 degree right now. So so the first one is where the flash is mounted higher than the subject, and it's falling nicely on the subject. The second one is where this flash is at the eye level of the subject. It's very straight. So this is very flat. So that's what I was saying, this the one which normally news journalists take these kind of pictures, or paparazzis, they take these kind of pictures with flashes on the cameras. So which is not very flattering light. And if you see the last version, which is 45 degrees down. So now the flash is from below the subject. So what happens when the flash is below? That's what I was saying. The picture looks slightly spooky and more dramatic, right? Like in horror films also, if you see the light source is always used below the subject to get, that kind of drama or, that kind of thrill in the image. So normally the first one, which is, this is what's used professionally, in portrait photography, where the light source is above the model. It's 45 degrees tilted. So the direction is towards the model. So the light is tilted like this. And, but it's always above the model. That way it's very balanced. So this is basically the height of the flash. And if you, in the same chart, if you keep looking at the images going towards the right, it's the direction of the light. So let's say if I'm rotating the light, I'm keeping the light on one side of the model. This is the effect you're gonna get. And I'll have to turn on my video for this to explain you better for a second. I hope it works. Okay. So you all can see me now.
Yes.
Okay, so normally if I'm the subject, so I was talking if the light is coming straight from the top, that's 45 degrees. Coming straight from here is 0 degrees, and below is 45 degrees. So
Okay.
straight was very, very flat, and top, if I'm shooting like this, 45 degrees, then it's perfect. And below is for a desired effect, that you barely use. And then the second, it's showing if I move the flash, don't keep it right in front of me. I keep it on the side here, or one side here, or this side, or even in the back, like behind my head. So those options are, kind of being discussed in this. So I'll just go back to the slide. So if you see 40 lights setup.
We lost you for 15 seconds.
Oh, I think it's whenever I turn the video on. I've turned off the video again, so it should be better. So I was saying this in this chart. So 0 degrees when the light is right in front of you, and 45 degrees is when it's a little bit on the side. 90 degrees when it's like totally on the side, and 180 is when it's behind you. So these are the different kind of results that you'll get. So this is just for understanding the direction of the light. So how we use these lights? Sorry, you have any question on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is basically all indoor ones, right? Indoor photography. Abhishek, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I think.
Okay. This can apply in both indoor and outdoor also. So like if you do like a studio setup, you can always change your subject's side, like even if you're shooting in sunlight, where he stands and where the sun is.
Okay.
Right. So, but right now, these examples are indoor,
Yeah,
the ones which we're looking at. So if you see the first image on the left side, here there are two light sources. Okay, can you make out like where is the light coming from? The direction?
A little bit from behind, I can see.
Yes. So
On
there are two
top
light
also.
sources. Right. So there's one is right behind the model's head.
Yeah.
Which is kind of giving that it's called a rim lighting, which kind of makes a rim around the head, kind of head pops out, stands out from the background. And second light is 45 degrees, like I said, top, so the top to bottom, which is lighting her face.
Yes.
Yeah, so one in the back. This is a two light setup that I've used. One in the back, which is creating the rim light on the hair. And second one is in the front, which is 45 degrees tilted. It's like from top to bottom. And if you see the image on the right, can you tell that couple standing? What is the light source and direction?
On one side only.
Exactly, yeah. So this is just one light.
Yeah.
And it's just on the side. So if you see half of the face has been, is in shadows and half is, because I was looking for this desired effect. And if you see the image at the bottom, this is also one light.
Okay. Right on the face.
Yeah, no, I mean that dress one I was talking about.
Yeah, dress.
So this is also one light in which you see the shadows being created on the wall.
Yeah.
So in this, also there's just one light. So this is a silhouette effect, if you want to get this kind of effect where there's a backlight and it kind of highlights the definition of the body. So if you try any of these silhouette shots, you have to make sure like the models are standing in 90 degrees with the light. They should not be facing you. They should be side profile. Because if they face you, then you won't see any definition of the face at all. But in side profile, you can make out the shape of the nose and the body also. That works better.
Abhishek, just a quick question. So again, is there any reason why you kept the subject in the left-hand side of the, it's like that arc? Why not in the center?
This 1 second. I think this is also rule of third. This image is slightly cropped. So if you see, this is the whole image. So see, center, I would say, like, always centering all the images, it kind of becomes very expected, right? So because when you see, symmetry is important and it's good, but not always. If you make like all your pictures symmetrical and centered, they they might not stand out from the crowd at times. So negative space is also equally important. So if I had kept it like this, let's say 1 second. So this picture will also work, right? Like this is centered. This picture is also working, but just to show more negative space, I've kept the couple slightly on the side and show this side also here. So there's nothing wrong with both the approaches, but it's just to like break the routine. Like
Okay.
that's about it. Center can also work. Like in this image, it can definitely work. Center can also work, and maybe on this side there was not enough working space on the left side. And if I have to take like a portrait image, which is of this ratio, which is like 2:3 ratio, so maybe the center will also work in this case.
Thanks so much.
So again, this is also just one light source, but in a natural setting. So this is like sun in the background, and again a silhouette. So it would be better if this bird was facing the sun, which will follow the rule of space. But unfortunately, I couldn't get that kind of shot. The bird didn't move there, and there was no way I could move on that side also from the point where I was sitting. So, but this is just to explain the lighting. Different examples use. Some are just backlit, some are two lights, front and back. Some is from the side. So after direction of light, we talk about natural and artificial light. So I'm a natural light shooter. Like most of my pictures you'll see have been shot in natural light. So what is the best light to shoot portraits? It's there are actually two when it's cloudy. What happens is when it's cloudy, the light is very even. So the clouds make like a huge softbox, like a natural softbox. So if you ever go on an overcast day or cloudy day, if you walk out, just look at people's faces, and you'll notice that they're not shadows. There are no shadows. Even if the shadows are there, they're very soft, like the soft light with the softbox. So, so those kind of days are considered very good for portrait photography when it's overcast. Second is golden hours. We were talking about golden hours. Uh, when the sun is setting or sun is rising, that time you can get like a color of light, and you can get highlights and shadows in a way. We'll go through some example of golden light also. But these images, if you see, these have been taken on an overcast day when the light was all even. The sun is not very bright. See in these images, they're shadows, but they're like very minimal, right? So it's like very soft. Then in indoor photography, when you using artificial light, so this is all natural light, this is all artificial light. So you can there's one advantage is of natural light is that no artificial light can match the natural light, the quality of natural light. That softness, those colors, evenness, or even the contrast. No artificial light can match, according to me, the natural light. But the problem with natural light is that you have to rely on nature. You have to rely on the weather, and you have to rely on the location where you're shooting, right? So you might have to do the shoot indoors. So there's a lot of things that might not work for you in terms of uh, natural light photography. But I think the quality is always, you won't get that kind of results in the artificial light. However, in artificial light, you have an advantage that you can modify the light according to yourself. You don't have to wait for the clouds to come or sun to rise. So whatever effect you want, you can create with the lights. But there's there's a lot of work in it, because if you're using like multiple light setup, you'll need an assistant, you'll need right equipment, you'll need all the gear, you need to know all the lighting, how it works. So there is like a lot of things that goes into that, but it's definitely something that can be achieved. Like in the right side, again, one light setup. Normally I use only one light setup or two light setup in my artificial light setup. So the right side was just one light, and the front side is again two lights. The first image is front and back. So this image, can you tell me, this is daylight or artificial light?
Artificial light?
I guess this is daylight.
Yeah,
Window
actually
light
this
or
is
something.
yeah, this is daylight. So what's happening is she's standing like really close to the window, and the background is behind, but it's falling on the subject. So that's why it's giving that kind of effect of artificial light. But if you see, the quality of light is really good, the way it's soft, because again, this is daylight. So a lot of times, I try to use the windows when I'm using indoor, and that light has a very good effect. We are talking about golden hour. So golden hour is, again, in all kind of photographies, is like really good. You can get different kind of effects when you do landscapes. Can. And even for fashion also, or portraits also.
Abhishek, we had actually lost you after when you were speaking about the golden hour.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so golden hour, I was saying that mostly all the landscapes, they work really good in golden light. If you see the colors on the sky and also on the water, so nothing can match it. If I go to the same scene during when it's bright and sunny, like 2 p.m. or something like that, this picture won't you know this picture will just look normal. There won't be this kind of effect. So even for the portraits also, when I shoot outdoors, like this model's picture, so if you see the light, there's a backlit sunlight coming. This is early morning, and so these kind of effects, like more dreamy and more artistic effects, you'll be able to get in the golden hour. So just make most out of the golden hours when you do any kind of photography. So we were talking about high key and low key. So there are two kind of lighting setups. low key and high key. So low key is in which the background is not exposed or underexposed, and the subject is exposed properly. So if you see these kind of pictures in which the background is dark and subject is lit, so these are example of low key. And high key is the other way around, in which the subject is lit properly and the background is overexposed. Normally it's white. I don't use this one much, but low key I'm like big fan. I do a lot in my portraits. You can achieve low key in nature also. So like this in this picture, so I have used artificial light on the snake because this was taken in night, and the background was anyways dark because it was night. So I got like a low key effect on this. So there has been a diffuser used on the flash, so that's why the light is also soft. It doesn't have harsh shadows. Okay, so going back to the number of lights that we were talking about. So in a typical scenario, you need like three lights. So you can even go with one light setup or two light setup or three light setups. I won't say any of the light setups is good or bad, but it depends on the desired effect you want. So there is a key light, which is the main light. If you see this image, lighting it, other side, there are more shadows. So again, the lighting setup is same. It's like 45 degrees top and on 45 degrees side. So in the second one, we add another light, which is a fill light. The key fill. So fill light is also lighting the other side, but the power on the fill light doesn't have to be same as the key light. So if both the lights were having the same power, let's say key and fill, then the image will look very flat. There won't be any shadows at all. We want shadows. Shadows are good, but we don't want very hard shadows. So the second one is kind of having shadows, but it's like more diffused. The other side is lit. It's not like totally dark. And in the third one, we add a third light. So it has fill light, key light, and a backlight, or also known as rim light. So rim light is kind of highlighting the hair. So like a color is used here. I mean, you don't have to use color. You could use any kind of light, but it's going to make the hair shine a little bit and also kind of isolate it from the background. So these are the most common three lighting setups which are used. All three setups are good. It all depends on what kind of desired result you want. All three are used in fashion also, like mostly in beauty shots. The first one is not used much, which is one lighting setup. In beauty shots, the third approach is used the most. But like in other kind of portraits, you can use one light setup. And you can always get started with one light setup and gradually add more to your gear. You can add like second and then third, and then just experiment with all the lightings.
How about food photography? Hello, Abhishek, can you hear me? Hello?
So mostly like a two light setup would be good.
Abhishek, just one minute. Reshma wanted to ask something. She's trying to speak.
I asked about food photography. Food.
Sure. So food photography, normally like a two light setup is used because you have to evenly light, even in product photography also, mostly like a two light setup is used, or like a big soft box, which kind of covers both side of the product is used normally.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so this is the end of the syllabus that I want to cover, and we can go through any questions regarding lighting or anything else you have. And
I just want to know if
we
by
can
end
take
of
from
day
there.
I send you a couple of options for the type of home lighting, if you'll be able to tell me which one to go for.
Sure, absolutely. I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you so much.
Anybody
Maybe
else
if
has any
Abhishek,
questions? Yeah.
if you would be comfortable elaborating a little bit on the three type of light. There was key, rim, and I don't remember the third. I'm so sorry. That would be really comfortable as well. Like that would enhance my understanding of how to create a perfect moment.
And also, I think Abhishek, I would add one question here. I think it could help everyone. Like, so, because everyone is pretty much a beginner here. So now after this, doing this introductory course of 2 days, what are the key takeaways in the sense, like if now that they want to go back and start themselves in the photography, what are the few steps? What are the few things they can do in terms of like, the camera, the gears they should have, B,
Mhm.
what kind of like what kind of things they can start with to begin with, like some basic ideas of like how to go about now, if you can think of something to help, like for example for in
Sure.
Reshma to start with, like.
Sure, absolutely. So, like I mentioned yesterday also, like firstly, you'll have to, kind of know like what kind of photography you do. Accordingly, you'll invest in the gear. Like I was saying, if you go for a mirrorless camera, if you want to do like more travel photography and you want to move around a lot with the camera, so you'll have to firstly, zero down to that you're going to buy a mirrorless camera. Once you decided mirrorless or non-mirrorless, then brand would be like, you'll be looking for some features. Like if you want to do wildlife, you need like a lot of things. So maybe what we can do is I can guide based on what each individual's interests are, and we can do it offline also, but on a high level I can tell like what kind of gears you would be needing in terms of lighting and uh, camera and lenses. Will that work?
Sure. I think we can keep the WhatsApp group open for a week's time for some little interaction about everyone can also do their own research, review this content and tell Abhishek that this is what they are thinking to get into to begin with, and if they need any suggestions with the gears and few things.
Yeah, that works. I think, yeah, that'll be good.
And yeah, I mean, of course, go ahead, guys, with your personal questions. I know Tamanna already asked a couple of them.
Yeah, so Tamanna, going back to your question, yeah, so there are three kind of lights that we discussed. So key light is the main light, that you definitely need one source of light, so which we call key light. And fill light is kind of filling the darker side, because key light is only able to uh, light just half of the face in terms of portraits.
So key
We
light
can
comes in front and fill light comes at the back.
No, key light also comes on the side. So normally we don't use front lighting in portraits, because that gives very flat lighting.
Oh,
So
got it.
both the lights are placed like 45 degrees angle uh, from the subject. Because if you do like the front light, then those images are like very, very flat. And so that's why one light is only lighting one side, because it's not in the front. And
The very first image that we see over here, that has a light on the side then, because that's not flat at all.
yes, yeah,
Okay.
that's no, the very first on the left, right? So that's
Yes.
partially lit right, on one side.
Okay,
So
and
the
the third one has three lights.
third one has three lights. So there's a red light, which is the rim light, and the two lights which are key and fill light. So fill is just kind of filling the shadows area, and key is the main light source, and rim is just to highlight the hair.
Very cool. Okay.
Okay.
So
So
Abhishek,
Anand,
I
would
have,
you like?
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a personal question actually. So
Mhm.
Prerna mentioned that you've already won a title of Canon ambassador, right? So how to get this title actually? I don't know. So how to become a Canon ambassador or influencer in this photography industry? Can you please tell me or suggest me how to become in that one?
Uh, Sorry, you said how to become influencer?
Yeah, it's like how to become a Canon ambassador or influencer.
Oh, okay. So it's I think it's if like once you have a portfolio and you have done uh, some projects, which Canon things are, like that you've like in terms of achievements, you've done some things, like I had got like some awards in wedding photography, and I did this cinematography also. There's a Jiva award which I won like
Mhm. Yeah,
three
yeah.
times for best cinematographer,
Mhm.
and also a lot of media that they see, like a lot of blogs, and I've been published in like some magazines also, like wedding magazines and other magazines also. And these sites like Wedding Sutra, Wed Me Good. So they saw like all those things, and they kind of research, and they also see your Instagram also, like how many followers you have, and uh, those kind of things they just assess, and then accordingly they just approach me and they ask me that we would like to make you an influencer. We want you to review our products and write about that. So I was happy to take that opportunity.
Okay. Okay. And Abhishek, means like in this photo industry, how would you like us to means like move forward? Let us say uh, I have involved myself in the 3 to 4 years in this photography,
Uh-huh.
and how to move forward means like let's say means like last day you mentioned that you've started it through a site where you gather people or models for free shooting or something like that. So how to start in India? Let us say if you want to have a model photography or fashion photography, uh, even though it's a free, so I don't charge anything. So how to move ahead and where to approach?
Okay, so the first thing is that most important thing for any photographer is to build your portfolio. So you need to have like very impressive portfolio. So for
Okay.
that, you need to find some assignments. Like even if you're doing portraits and all, you can just start with your friends and family. If you do wildlife, then then you can just go to any national parks and start that. So first thing is you have to build your portfolio, and then you have to tie up with people where you can maybe, if you haven't done any photography, like professionally you haven't done any photography, you have to find some internships. So you can go to internshala also, and uh, sometimes there's like a lot of requirements there. You can work, probably assist a senior photographer, and just being on the field, being on the job, you'll get to learn a lot, and
Okay.
second, you'll also get like some connections. You can network with people you're working with, and then you might find they might give you like a small project, and then one project, second project, third project. That's how you get started. You'll have like more projects under your belt slowly.
So,
And
it's a internalized site where I can register or something like that. Oh,
yeah, internshala is one, and also you can uh, if once you have a good portfolio, you can even directly approach companies also. Like what kind of photography you are interested in?
so means like after this discussion, I can share my screen and show you a couple of images.
Sure.
And yeah, so actually, I'm not it's like finding my niche actually. So I'm interested in everything. Means I like wildlife, I like portrait, I like fashion, and I don't understand where to go. So
Okay.
not also sometimes.
No, I think that's everybody's story. Even, I was like that also. And that's one of the reasons that I do like 2-3 kinds of photography also. But I think it's just, that's something that it just happens on its own. I mean, you yourself know like what kind of photography you want to do. So initially, I think you should just do whatever you enjoy doing. If you enjoy doing like all kind of photographies, just do all kind of photographies. You do wildlife, you do landscapes, you do portraits, but eventually, once you do it enough, you'll know like, this is for me, this is not for me. So
Okay.
you'll get to know. Like for me, product photography, although I've tried that also. I think I tried like almost all kind of photography. So for me, product photography, doesn't give me as much kick as, taking pictures of like living beings, like humans or animals or trees or plants. So those kind of things are, kind of, I connect with them more. So it's just, if you keep doing it more and just try everything, and you'll automatically know, what are you enjoying more and where you're getting better results also. Which pictures, your audience are liking more. So that will give you an answer.
Okay. How to become a means like a assistant of a famous photographer? Directly approaching, or is there any exam or exam tests or something like that? It's like,
See, if you have a decent portfolio and you directly write to them also, or maybe on the Instagram or Facebook, and then if there are a lot of times, they're looking for some interns. And because I have also been approached by many people, because I have a company in Delhi for which is specializes in weddings and fashion. So sometimes I get like some requests for that. So you can just directly approach them and say that this is my portfolio, and I'm really passionate about doing this, and blah blah blah, and can you please check out my work, and I'm ready to do an internship with you. And then they can, if they're looking for someone, they can get back to you on that, and you can start something with them. And second, like I said, intern Shala is also there. They will know who's looking for photographers already.
We've run out of time, Anand, but do you think you want to get your photos critiqued if Abhishek is cool with it?
yeah, Abhishek, is that
Yeah, I
fine?
can do that. I have another 5 minutes if everybody's
Okay, just sharing my screen. I can't share my screen. Prerna, could you please give me the access?
Yeah, let me just do that. I think you should be able to share. Have a look.
Yes. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, I can see it.
So this is my niece actually. I try to uh, spend some time with my camera with her.
Okay. This is nice. It's an interesting perspective. So taken from top down.
Oh, yes.
So yeah, so this is interesting. It kind of tells also that that it's a child, and looking up, and yeah, it's nice. Even the pose is also nice, kind of
Yeah.
looks.
She is a drama queen actually. So again, this is the laydown picture.
This is good, but I think her what is dupatta? It looks slightly doesn't look very natural the way it's flowing, but the background is looking nice. The way you use the background, and yeah. Yeah, this is even better because the background is looking really nice. Although the left corner, again, I'll cut that to make it like all red.
Yes.
So this I'll get rid of. Other than that, it's perfect. It's a very good portrait.
Oh. Now going back to wildlife.
This is very good. This is lovely. It has a foreground, it has a background. The subject is also tack sharp. Where was this?
This is at the zoo at Bhubaneswar.
Okay. So I'm not a big fan of zoos, but yeah, these pictures are also not considered wildlife. The pictures taken
Yes,
in
I
the
know.
zoo. So,
Yeah.
but like if you talk about the composition and all, the eyes are not very engaging because they're not very visible. They're in shadows. So maybe when either leopard was looking towards you or eyes were slightly up,
Okay.
then it would be better.
Okay. This is at my backyard actually.
This is good. This is storytelling because the bird is feeding, and there's a diagonal line also. Although the background is kind of busy, uh, probably if you have maybe a longer lens or a lower aperture number, then you'll be able to make it even more smoother. But otherwise, the composition is nice. It's just the gears, I think,
Limitation of gears. Actually.
Yes.
So this is the one of bird sanctuary at Odisha. This is the.
Oh, okay. Nice again, but it's like kind of cropped. I'll show the feet also because that's kind of depicting the movement that this bird is walking.
The negative space is at the above side, so that's why I crop it like this. But I have taken like this only, so did some mistake over there.
The feet, right? Yeah. Other than that, it's nice. Yeah, it's good. This is also good, but I think I would crop a little bit more. This maybe get rid of more negatives.
This much? Okay.
Yeah, something like this. Yeah. No, the previous one probably.
Okay.
Yeah, something like this about here. Yeah. This is good. This is better because you've taken it from ground level.
Yes, eye level.
Yeah. So the background is blurred, and you can see the perspective. Like another bird is watching this bird. You see interesting perspective. So you are at the eye level. So always remember that always try and shoot from the eye level, especially if you do humans and animals. At times you have to make it interesting. You can go do like a low angle or top angle also, shot also. But most of the times you have to make it interesting. Okay.
Okay. This is the flight mode.
Bird in flight, yeah, it's nice.
Again, I cropped it. This was something around 40% I cropped actually. Cropped.
Okay. So again, you can probably give a rule of space you can use.
Third. Okay.
Maybe have more, instead of keeping him center, you'll keep him slightly towards the left so that
Maybe
there is
left
more
side.
space where he's going. So then
Okay.
it will work better.
Okay.
And this is nice. Again, the angle is good. Your perspective is good. And the rule of space is also fine. There's more space in front of where he's walking. Yeah, this is also nice, but maybe you can go maybe slightly more low if there was a way you could, but if you couldn't, then but like two are looking good. Yeah. There's a repetition. Cool. In this one, these ibis, they actually their faces are not that visible because of the color also, but yeah, maybe it's just the moment is not very right. Maybe if you patiently wait for maybe more time and when all the heads are up, or maybe the movement could be more interesting, but the composition is nice, like 5 in a row.
These two are
And all,
looking at something and these three are doing something.
yeah, if maybe their heads were also up, or uh, might be slightly better. This is good. Again, I won't keep it center again.
Yeah.
It will look better with rule
Yeah.
of thirds.
Rule of thirds.
But it's nice. It's an open bill. So wings are nice, but again, the face is not visible because of the lighting. I cannot see the eye. So if you cannot see the eye in wildlife, it kind of doesn't interact much. This is nice. This is a tough shot to get when the bird is flying towards you.
Yeah.
It's nice. Nicely done.
Again, rule of third is missing.
Yeah, rule of third. You have to follow. This is nice, cute. This is good. I don't see any problem in this.
This much only.
Okay, great. I think you have a good eye for sure, and pictures that you've taken, the portraits also that you've taken. I like the perspectives also, like the angles that you've used are creative, and also the way it should be used. So you have understanding of the perspectives, and horizon lines were also straight. So your framing is good. Just pay some attention on the rule of thirds, and also lighting in like most of the pictures taken in the nature. Sometimes you cannot do much about lighting, but normally I wouldn't keep that in my profile. If the lighting is not right, I won't keep it in my profile. I'll just keep trying to get the same picture in a better lighting.
Okay.
So it's one tip I just wanted to give everyone before we sign off is your portfolio, which is, I said, like, is very important, and you really have to be very strict in keeping what you want to keep. You got to have a heart of discarding your pictures. So like if you have like 100 pictures in your portfolio, so you have to make a point that there are some pictures I want to ignore. Even if you have like a slight doubt, that's the approach I normally take. Even if I have a slight doubt about the picture, this picture is nice or not. If I have this much doubt, I won't show that picture to anyone. I won't keep it in my portfolio. So your portfolio is everything, and especially in the commercial world, if you're trying to make money with your photography, if you want to do it professionally, so you don't want to show the side that you're not sure about. You're only going to put everything out there is, you're 100% sure that this picture is really good. Other than that, just discard. It's good to have 10 pictures in portfolio, which are like great, then having like 200 pictures, which are like 50 good pictures, 50 bad pictures. So that's, one tip for everyone from me.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Okay, so I think, like Prerna said, we can have like all the follow-up questions on the group, and then we can work on those.
Yeah. Thank you, Abhishek. I think it was a very informative session. So I'm going to share, I already shared one recording on WhatsApp group, but I will also email the links of the recordings to you guys so you have it. And I think my suggestion is now you can start working on photography, start going back to these recordings and review all the concepts that Abhishek has shared and explained to you through these recordings and presentation. And yeah, keep trying and then share some work. I will be excited to see some of your photographs and things. So I'll keep in touch with you guys anyway, and we'll keep the group open for a week for any inquiries you may have about your gears or anything how to start, etc. So, and I really appreciate Abhishek for your time for that, like taking out some extra time for doing this for the group.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you so much. The session was amazing.
Okay, all right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Abhishek.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.